presumptive #1 pick, or Chet Holmgren of Gonzaga. It seemed like teams had moved away, and we had it slotted with Smith, Holmgren, and then Banchero going to Houston. But apropos, a Woj bomb before the draft even starts, and it was Banchero. So if they take Banchero, now all of a sudden Oklahoma City, do they have a choice to make between, they probably didn't expect that it was going to be Smith or Holmgren, #2. So that is a big shakeup at the top from what we thought it was going to be. But how exciting for all these guys, but how exciting for Paolo Banchero to join that long list of great players that have called themselves #1 draft picks. And if he is taken #1, we talked about it all year that there were 3 guys worthy of it, and those 3 guys are all worthy of it.
Well, guess what, Jay? We get to find out now. The pick is in, so let's go to Commissioner Adam Silver to find out who the Orlando Magic select.
NBA Draft. The Orlando Magic select Paolo Banchero from Duke University.
Wow. Paolo Banchero from Duke goes #1 overall to the Orlando Magic. You can see him hugging his family there. What a special moment. He comes from a family of hoopers. His mom, Rhonda Smith, she played at Washington. He was drafted to the W in 2000, and he is a strong, offensively versatile player. He actually played quarterback, and he ran track and field in high school. He was an early bloomer. He continued to grow, and ultimately, he became the first Duke player with 20-plus points and 10-plus rebounds in a Final Four game since 1989. You can see him there shaking hands with Commissioner Adam Silver. What exactly are the Orlando Magic getting, Jay?
Well, they are getting maybe the best combination of size at 6'10", 255 pounds, advanced skills, and explosive power in this draft. And Orlando clearly thinks that Paolo Banchero is the best player in this draft. He was the best player on a team that had 5 NBA players in the starting lineup. And Paolo Banchero led Duke to a win over Gonzaga early in the season where he outplayed Chet Holmgren. Here you see the physicality of Banchero. He can overpower defenders going to the basket. He can take it one way, spin back with power to the other. He can shoot it from the perimeter. He can isolate in the mid-post on the elbow. I think he can get better as a defender, but when you look at his defense, his pick-and-roll defense is in the 97th percentile in pick-and-roll handling.
Absolutely, and when you look at his player comp, he's a combination of Michael Beasley with his elite skill set for being able to score the ball, get buckets, create, and score it with difficulty. On the other end, I look at Ben Simmons, his ability to make plays for others, his ability to attack and transition and make plays and get to the basket downhill and take up the space. He has that physicality that you was talking about, Jay, and that's what he is. Now that should Ben Simmons at that.
Well, now he is standing by with our Monica McNutt.
Hello, Mom Rhonda, congratulations. Yesterday you told me you've been watching the NBA draft closely since 2010. Now that you're here and the #1 pick, how does it compare to what you dreamed?
I don't even know what to say. I can't believe what just happened, honestly. I never would have thought that this would happen. You know, I wanted to be in the NBA, but I didn't know I would be here, man. I really honestly didn't. So this is unbelievable, and I can't speak right now. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll give you a break from speaking because we have a little surprise from someone special to you.
Paolo, congratulations. I'm so happy for you and your family and the commitment you've made. You are, I think, the most versatile player in the draft. You can play anywhere on the court and you're a winner. You're going to help tremendously and have a terrific NBA career.
You join the legacy of Duke players drafted into the league and got to play for a legend. What did your experience as a Blue Devil teach you?
Taught me a lot, you know. Coach K, he really taught me, you know, how to really be a man, you know. Just being away from home, being so far from home, like he was there for me, you know. Whether it was criticizing me, telling me when I was messing up, or complimenting me, letting me know when I was doing well, you know. He was always there, and he's the greatest coach I ever had.
Before there was Coach K, there was your mom, Rhonda, who has joined us this evening. But we gotta go back upstairs. Congratulations, Paulo. Congratulations, Mom Rhonda. We know you are his inspiration.
Thank you.
Monica, thank you.
Monica, thank you so much. Just take another look at this moment between Paolo and his mom, Rhonda. She has coached him. She has been his mentor. What a moment for him and his family. But look, I mean, Duke, they have a little bit of experience going #1 overall. He joins a very elite list of #1 picks, Elton Brand, Kyrie Irving, and Zion Williamson as Duke players who have gone #1 overall. By the way, the 13th straight year that a freshman was selected first. The last non-freshman was Blake Griffin. That was back in 2009. Now, we get to take a look at who else may be still left in the green room. There's a whole lot of guys hoping to still hear their name called as the night goes on. There is Jabari Smith Jr. out of Auburn. When might he be taken and drafted into the NBA? What an exciting night for so many guys, Perk.
Absolutely. And look, this is what it's all about. It's not where you get drafted. It's just about getting drafted and getting your foot in the door. Like, you know, when you think about it, it's a dream come true. And I know some guys may not get picked the #1 pick. Some guys may not get picked in the lottery. But it's about getting in. Once you get in and you make your presence.
Well, and now the Thunder, they have been on the clock. Their pick is in. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is here to let us know who they picked.
With the second pick in the 2022 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga University.
Chet Holmgren headed to Oklahoma City. You can see him sharing a moment there with his parents. The term unicorn, it's thrown around often, but it seems that it may be an accurate description for Chet Holmgren. How many centers can shoot a high percentage from three? Holmgren shot almost 39% from beyond the arc in his one season with the Zags, and his dad actually filmed every one of his games since he was in 6th grade. And when he joined us on the set of NBA Today, he said that he wanted to be a 50, 40, 90 player in the NBA. It seems like he actually has a chance to be that, Jay.
There's no question he has that chance. He's built for today's NBA. He's a good athlete, very fluid, and really, really skilled at 7 feet with a 7'6" wingspan. And he's got a very high basketball IQ. He's really, in a way, like a baby Giannis. He's not a center. He's not a low post guy. He is a perimeter player. You can see he's got a turnaround jumper. He's got a fadeaway. He's got that little dirt move. He hit over 40 threes on the season to go with over 100 blocks. There's been only 3 guys that have done that in the last 25 years. And clearly he can move his feet. He keeps his body away from big, strong offensive players that like to get into his chest. He can operate and pick and roll both as a screener and as a ball handler. He's the total package with open court ability. And I think he's very well suited for today's NBA.
Well, he's joining Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey, but the question that NBA fans have out there, well, who's his game like, Big Perk? Tell us.
Well, I'll tell you, if Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kristaps Porzingis had a baby, they'd get Chet Holmgren. That's one to take, but I explain why. When you think about it, he's a combination of the two. When I look at him, I see the Kristaps Porzingis in him, a big that's able to stretch the floor. He has a nice post-up game, face-up game, turnaround game, 15-footer. When you put him in the pick and roll, he can mix it up, pop to the three, and guess what? He shoot lights out. When I look at him forwards at the Giannis aspect, attack the downhill, taking up space, and once he get in the paint, he's finishing at the rim with authority. Why they have to have me in this clip? But this is who Chet Holmgren is. Do not let the body frame fool you. He's mean, he's aggressive, and he's about that life.
Absolutely, and look, you can see him shaking hands there with Commissioner Adam Silver. They do it big in Houston. They do it big in Texas. Big Perk, you are from Texas. What do the Rockets need here?
You know what? They need Jabari Smith Jr. I think, you have a great piece in Jalen Green, who they drafted last year, a guy that finished the season strong. If you compare him up with a Jabari Smith Jr.,
Yeah.
the future is bright for the Houston Rockets. You have your foundation. We heard Adam Silver talk about the Golden State Warriors and how they built their dynasty and built their house through the draft. The Rockets have an opportunity tonight to continue to build their house through the draft.
And they're getting a number one pick. I mean, there are 3 number 1 picks in this draft. If
Right.
Oklahoma City had the number 1 pick, I think they would have taken Holmgren number 1. And clearly Orlando got who they wanted. And Houston's going to get a number 1 caliber pick if they decide to take Jabari Smith Jr. He's NBA ready.
You've been high on him for quite some time. As we've been chatting over the last couple of days, you have had so many good things to say about him. What makes you so confident?
Well, I don't think I'm the only one. I mean, he's an elite jump shooter and a guy who's 6'10". He's a really good athlete. He's a really hard worker, too. I mean, he's in the gym early, working out with his workout guy, working on his game. He's there before practice. I was there at Auburn several times, saw him out there hour and a half before practice even started. He goes hard, and he's an excellent defender. Oftentimes we say a guy can guard multiple positions. He can really do it. I mean, he can guard multiple spots and takes great pride in it. But the fact that he's an elite jump shooter, shoots 42% from 3, I happen to think it's a no-brainer at this spot. And I think Houston has to feel pretty fortunate that Jabari Smith, you don't want to say fallen when
Right.
you're the 3rd pick. He hasn't fallen anywhere. 3rd pick in the draft is remarkable. But I think it's pretty fortunate for Houston to get this caliber player in 3. But they were going to get a high caliber player no matter what.
Right, Houston does not have a problem here, you could say. The Western Conference, though, it continues to be a tough conference to play in, Big Perk. In Steven Silas' system, how would you see someone like Jabari Smith fit in?
Well, I think it's all about letting them play in the open court, and that's the system that I see when we talk about Coach Silas. Like I alluded to earlier, you watch Jalen Green; he was able to play freely. You watch, Kevin Porter Jr. They're able to be the best version of themselves. What Steve Silas come in at is that holding them accountable and getting the best out of them on the defensive side of things. He's a young, passionate coach, well respected around the league by his peers and current and former players, and that's why he's in stack, and that's why I'm happy for the Rockets to pick Jabari Smith, which they're about to do right now.
Absolutely. Well, the pick is in. Let's see if you're right,
You're right,
Perk.
You're
giving it away.
Let's see if he's right. Let's hear from Commissioner Adam Silver just to make sure.
With the 3rd pick in the 2022 draft, the Houston Rockets select Jabari Smith Jr. from Auburn University.
Hey, Perk, you were right.
I love it. H-Town, stand up.
McDonald's All-American. He gets selected number 3 overall. Sharing a moment with his family. His father, Jabari Smith Sr., was drafted by the Kings, actually. Bounced around to several NBA teams. I had a chance to chat with him the other day, and he shared this really wonderful story with me about how he's really looking to pave his own way. He is forever humble, tattooed across his chest. You can see it right there. But he actually used to go to the Sandy Creek High School gym back in high school before the doors were even open. He'd text his janitor and say, hey, can you let me in? He'd have 4 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in his backpack to fuel him throughout the day. He'd eat them then. He's the highest drafted Auburn player in the common draft era. This is just a wonderful moment. You can see the handshake there. Jay, what are the Rockets getting?
Well, his shooting mechanics are impeccable. He can shoot it with a high release off the catch or the dribble. He's got a mid-range pull-up. Shoots 42% from 3, hits 79 threes on the season, and can shoot it out of the mid-post. He gets to his spots really well. He's got a fadeaway jumper, a jab step. He can drive it either way, and a lot of people have talked about, well, he only shot 43% overall in the season. Is he a good finisher? He finishes at 61% at the rim. It's just a question of him getting to the rim more. But the offense that Auburn ran, it was kind of a flex system, and it wasn't always conducive to him, getting to the rim and driving it. But he's fully capable. But I think his defensive versatility sets him apart in this draft. His ability to guard multiple positions, challenge at the rim, excellent defensive rebounder, and the fact that he's a worker and can hit those contested shots. I'm a big believer believer in Jabari Smith at the NBA level.
I am too, and when I look at him, I see a combination of two players. For you old heads, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, right? Able to get to his spots, hell of a pump fake, and get into the basket downhill. And then for the younger generation, he has a little bit of Kevin Durant in this game, shooting 42% from the three this past season, getting out in transition and being able to finish at the basket because of his length and his athleticism.
Jabari Smith Jr., he is headed to Houston, but a team that is on the clock now is a team that his dad played for in the Sacramento Kings. So let's take a little look at what Sacramento has been doing over the last couple of years, right? They acquired Domantas Sabonis from Indiana. That was a huge piece for them. And then they missed the playoffs, right? They have the 16th straight season that they've missed it. That's the longest active drought in the NBA currently. But it's been a big week for them. They're on the clock right now. They introduced head coach Mike Brown as their new coach of this team, of this franchise. I want to check in with our Bobby Marks and Adrian Wojnarowski for more on Sacramento.
Malika, Sacramento Kings, they're focused on Iowa's Keegan Murray here at number 4. There's a lot of expectation that this is a spot where Jaden Ivey would go in this draft, and now the possibility of Ivey dropping down to number 5 to the Detroit Pistons. There were a number of trade discussions with Sacramento and teams all up and down in the lottery. But Keegan Murray is their focus, and now suddenly Detroit perhaps has the opportunity to select Jaden Ivey, or perhaps even trade down and somebody else maybe jumps up to number 5.
And remember, Jaden Ivey is a player who did not go to Sacramento and worked out. There were no medicals there, so when you look at it from Sacramento's perspective, certainly that does become a little bit of a concern, but they're looking at a guy that can come in right now, and Keegan Murray that can play right away. And if Jaden Ivey is that guy for Detroit, maybe at 5, they've got a steal right there.
Bobby, thank you so much. Jay Billis, for those who maybe aren't as familiar with Keegan Murray's game, what do you like about him?
Everything. They should be familiar because Keegan Murray might have been the best overall player in the country last year on both ends of the floor. He went from a year ago averaging about 7-8 points a game to averaging 24. And I think he's the most efficient player in this draft and the most NBA ready to plug in right now.
Absolutely. Well, Sacramento, their pick is in. Let's hear from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver to see who the Sacramento Kings will be taking.
With the 4th pick in the 2022 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Keegan Murray from the University of Iowa.
Keegan Murray becomes the highest drafted Iowa player in the common draft era. Sharing it all with his family as he walks to the stage. Keegan Murray, he actually grew up in Iowa, in Cedar Rapids. That's in East Iowa. It's a town with a population of just over 130,000. Lots of cornfields. Bowling in Iowa, it runs in the family. His father, Kenyon, also played at Iowa and is 3rd all-time in steals, but that's not where the family stops. He was teammates with his identical twin brother, Chris, and his younger siblings are athletes too. His mom was a collegiate golf player, and then last year, he made a case, as Jay mentioned, to be the best player in college basketball. He increased his scoring from 7 points per game his freshman year to more than 23 his sophomore year. You can see him there shaking hands with Adam Silver. Jay, you touched on it. Elaborate a little bit more, please, on what you like about Keegan Murray.
Well, we mentioned, Malika, his efficiency. He led the NCAA in player efficiency rating at about 38, which is a gigantic number. He's NBA ready right now. His basketball IQ is tremendous. Very smart. He's got a great feel. He makes really good reads, and he pursues the ball. He's not going to be an Instagram sensation because he's not like the spectacular dunker and all that stuff, even though he dunks a lot. But he does the smart play every play, and he does it over and over again. At the end of the game, he's got spectacular numbers. He can handle it. He can change speeds. He drives it either way to the point of seeming ambidextrous, and he shoots 40% from 3. So he's a good shooter. He's excellent out of the post. He's in the 99th percentile out of the post in the mid-post.
Absolutely. And I like that he reminds me a little bit of Pat the deflections on the defensive side, turning it into transition points. And that's what I like about Keegan Murray is his size, his athleticism, along with his IQ and his feel for the game.
And he's got great hands. He catches everything. You mentioned the deflections he gets. He may not be the most dynamic guy staying in front of people, but he makes great recoveries. And he always is in the right position. He talks. He's got everything. He's not the spectacular athlete that's going to jump off the page. But when you look at the page at the end of the game, he's scratched in every important category.
Do you like the way that he fits with this group?
I do, especially alongside De'Aaron Fox, right? The Kings have showed us that they're committed to him and that De'Aaron Fox is their franchise player. Why not add a wing? The wing is the most important position in the NBA. Think about it. The Golden State Warriors won because of Andrew Wiggins and the way that he was able to play defensively and offensively. No more what the Lakers had, those cook wings. You need those young wings that sit in the sink, that's raw, that's seasoned, that's ready to go into the oven.
The barbecue wings. The buffalo wings, if you will.
No more cook wings. I don't want the wings that's been out on the stove all night.
Okay, I understand. All right, let's go to Detroit because they are currently on the clock. So Cade Cunningham, obviously, he was drafted #1 overall last year. Detroit, they're still trying to figure out how to crack the East. It's become a tougher conference with Boston dominating, with the Milwaukee Bucks dominating. The Brooklyn Nets are hopeful. But let's take a look at exactly where the Detroit Pistons are now. So Cade Cunningham, all rookie first team this last season, but less than 25 wins for the third straight season. Remember, there's head coach Dwayne Casey. The projected second most cap space this offseason. So might we see, actually it's the most after the trade, so might we see them add a star caliber player along with their pick here, Kirk?
Absolutely, and I think the guy that stands out to me is Ivy, right? You can see him pairing up alongside Cade Cunningham. The great thing about Cade is that he's really that point forward type player. Not only can he get his, but he's great at facilitating for others. And I know Troy Weaver, last year he was very, very high on Jalen Green, right? He loved his athleticism, he loved his explosiveness, and now he actually has a chance to actually get a somewhat version of Jalen Green in Ivy.
Well, obviously we saw, as Adrian Wojnarowski reported, the departure of Jeremy Grant for the Detroit Pistons. He's on his way to the Portland Trail Blazers. So there's a little bit of room there for the Pistons to add some more veteran presence to go along with their young core.
Yeah, and one name comes to mind, DeAndre Ayton, right? Another man's trash is another man's treasure. And when we talk about DeAndre Ayton, we're talking about a guy that could average 20, 10, and 3 blocks in this league. We're talking about a guy that is everything that you want in that power forward / center position. And I think Troy Weaver has his eyes on DeAndre Ayton. That's why he made room for him. And he's only 23 years of age. So he's still young, that you can put him in right with the young core that you already have.
But if they do end up going with Jaden Ivey with this pick, why does he fit for an NBA-ready team that's hoping to crack that drought for them?
I mean, if you're going with the best available player, I think this is the best available player at #5, and I don't think there's much question about it. You know, Jaden Ivey's the best athlete in this draft.
Right.
I mean, he's the best athlete in this draft. You mentioned Troy Weaver like Jalen Green's athleticism. If he likes athleticism, Jaden Ivey's got it.
I think that might make a little bit of sense in Detroit. Detroit basketball. All right, the pick is in. Let's get it to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver.
With the 5th pick in the 2022 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Jaden Ivey from Purdue University.
This right here, Kendrick Perkins, is what it is all about.
Absolutely. Let it out, young fella. This is about the journey. This is the necessary sacrifice that you made to get to this point, to have your name called.
Well, and the first person that he hugged was his mother, and I just want to shed a little bit of light on their story. Ivy was raised by his mom, who played in the WNBA. She's now the head coach of the Notre Dame women's team, and he'll tell you they watched a lot of film together. We were mentioning Jaden and Niele Ivey. He's the second Purdue underclassman to be named to the first team All-American in the last 92 years. But really the story, the connection between him and his mom as a coach, as a player, is just so wonderful. Who has she coached him to become, Jay?
Well, a dynamic and explosive guard who is great in transition. His speed is remarkable. In the open floor, he's fantastic. He can change speeds, but he's got a gear that very few other players have. It's Ja Morant type speed and explosiveness with Dwayne Wade type length. He's improved his shooting over the